Hey guys, in today's tutorial I'm going to show you how to make the woven beaded bracelet. So the supplies you'll need include 30 to 40 small to medium beads, 10 to 15 rocaille beads, which are optional, 100 to 150 seed beads, fishing line, 3 crimp beads, 2 jump rings, 1 toggle clasp, and you'll need a pair of scissors and a pair of needle nose pliers. So let's begin. To start the woven beaded bracelet, what you're going to want to do is take your fishing line and add a clasp that is attached to a loop with a jump ring and a crimp bead. So let me get this untangled here. So what we'll do is I'm going to, and you can do this one of two ways. You can just put the end of your toggle clasp directly on. I always like to put a jump ring. I just feel like it helps the clasp move a little easier. So I'm going to take my pliers, well, they're right in front of me, and open the jump ring. Slip that on slip the round part of your toggle clasp onto the jump ring, close it up, then you're going to put your fishing line through the jump ring and you want to slide it to the halfway point. So you're going to take both of your ends of your fishing line together and you're going to put your little crimp bead over both ends of that fishing line. So I have my 2 pieces of fishing line going through that single crimp bead. I'm going to slide that crimp bead all the way down to the jump ring, and then I'm going to take my pliers and I'm going to crimp that bead by just squishing the bead. So now what that has done is that has given me the one side of my clasp, a crimp bead, and then 2 strands to begin doing the weaving process of the beads for the bracelet. So I'm going to begin by showing you how to do the weaving, and I think the easiest thing will be to use a clipboard. So let me show you how to do that. To start the first layer of beads on your woven beaded bracelet, so if you want to look at this one, basically we're putting the bottom layer, so those bigger beads. I'm going to do for the demo here gray on the outside, on both outside rows, and then pink on the inside row. So let me show you how to do that. This step goes pretty quick, and then you come back through and do the smaller beads on top, and that's quite a bit more time consuming. So let me show you this first step. So to do this, again, if you want to use a clipboard, it's optional. It's just a little helpful to have. You can clip it down so that it doesn't move all around on you. And what you're going to do is start with your 2 strands here, and you're going to, whichever one you want to be in the center, so I want to start with the pink one. I'm going to put 1 strand through this direction. So if I'm coming from the right side, I'm going through the bead and to the left. And then with the other strand of fishing line, I'm going to go the opposite way. So I'm going to go through the left side and out the right. So I'm making a cross through that bead. And then you'll just pull it tight, and that puts the bead in place. And then you'll split them apart. I'm going to put a gray one on one side, and depending on the beads that you choose, sometimes the bead, the holes are kind of plugged up, so you can use like a thumbtack, helps unplug them. These particular beads that I have tend to do that sometimes. So now I have a gray one on each side, and now I'm going to bring them again back together and repeat the same process again. So I'm going to put a pink one on, and from the left side I'm going to go through the bead and out the right side. So from your view, obviously I'm going from the top of the bead out the bottom of the bead. And then I'm going to take this strand here, and they're going to want to, you know, move around on you, but obviously as you pull them tight, they'll stay. And I'm going to go through the bottom of the bead, or from the right side, through the bead. See here? Out the opposite way. And then you'll see when you pull the strands tight, it's starting to make your pattern. So again, I would just repeat. I would put a gray one on this side, a gray one on this side, and bring them together through the pink. So I'm going to finish this bottom layer out, and then when I come back, I'll show you how to do the top layer of seed beads. All right, when you're ready to begin working your way back with the smaller beads here that go on top, that top layer, you have to attach your clasp on the other side. So what you'll do is, again, take your jump ring, open the jump ring up, and attach your other part, the T part of your toggle clasp. Attach that on, close the jump ring, and because fishing line is going through this, you really want to make sure it's closed well. If you leave a little gap in that jump ring, the fishing line is going to slide right out. So at this point, I'm going to take my two ends. This is slightly different than the starting point. Take the two ends, put the, small crimp bead over both ends again. So you're going to slide that on at the beginning so that it's over both. Then you will slide the fishing line through your jump ring. Okay. And then the next thing that you want to do, so I've got the crimp bead and then the jump ring that's attached to the T part of my toggle clasp. I want to take my two ends and slide them, let's get untangled here. I want to slide them back through the crimp bead so that the crimp bead, you have to keep the crimp bead below the jump ring. So I'm going to slide these two ends back through that same crimp bead here. And all of this is obviously, you're working with such tiny pieces that you just, the more you do this type of work, the faster you become at it. Obviously, girls, if you have long fingernails, it's a little more challenging. So I'm going to pull my crimp bead down here, tighten everything up like this. So now I have a loop that connects to my jump ring and the second part of my toggle clasp. and you want to pull it as tight as you can so that there's not a lot of extra space there. Take your crimp pliers, needle nose pliers, whatever you have handy, and crimp that. So that is how you finish that side. And now we are ready to begin adding our seed beads, so this second layer. Okay, so to add the second layer of beads, what you're going to have to do is your fishing line is going to be coming from this very back crimp bead here. So you're going to have to take them and run them one through this way and one this way through this first bead. So I've already ran that one through. I'm going to pull this one through. What that does is now that starts your fishing line coming out from the center of the first bead here. So in order to begin putting your beads on, you're going to put somewhere between 4 and 6 or maybe even 7 of the little seed beads on each strand. The amount that you put on them is going to depend on the size of bead that you chose for your bottom. So I figured this out before, and I'll be putting 5 on each side. So I have 5 on this one. I'm going to put 5 on this side as well. From here, once you get all of the 5 beads on each of your 2 strands, then you'll be ready to cross them in the center. And when you cross them in the center, this is the part where if you chose a rocaille bead to go in the center, that larger bead, you would want to put that on. I am going to use the same beads. So I'm going to bring my 2 strands together, and I'm going to put 1 seed bead over both of the beads together. And so kind of like with the bottom row, what that does is that joins them, and that's going to start the bottom, or from your view, the top part of the X that's going to go over those. So now they're split apart again, and I'm going to repeat this by putting 5 seed beads again on each side. So I've got 3, 4, 5, and I will put 5 more on this side as well. So one. This is definitely the time-consuming part. 3. And you really want to make sure that you're counting these, because if you get the wrong amount on here, your X is going to be uneven. So you can see now the X that's been created there. And what I'm going to do from this point is, since they're split apart, I'm going to run them one through this direction and one through this way through this pink bead. And that's what's going to hold your X in place. And basically, that is all there is to it. You'll just repeat that process over and over so that you end up with X's all the way down there. When I come back, I'll have this finished up, and I'm going to show you how to complete the last part. So to finish out your bracelet, it's really simple. All you're going to do, well, first, let me show you. So I finished up the seed beads and went all the way to that very last bead here. And you can see I ran my fishing line through them both directions. So you're going to turn your bracelet over and take your 2 strands of fishing line together and take your last crimp bead that you have set aside here, and you're going to put that over both of your strands of fishing line, and you want to pull it so that it's right at the top of those of that very last bead there, and hold that in place there, crimp it, and then at that point you can trim off your excess fishing line. And you can, if you want to, you can tuck that that piece into the jump ring so that it's kind of, instead of it just kind of sticking out there, it'll be hidden better. So you can tuck that in there. Then your toggle clasp, you can see, goes together, and that is your completed bracelet. To view more tutorial videos and information on our projects, please visit our website at www.cnhsart.com.